Masvidal and Askren, boy, they just can't seem to get it right. And that is an interesting feud. It really is. Askren, who never has sour grapes about anything in his life. You never hear him talking about the Olympics. You never talk about him talking about a wrestling match, which is his true love. George Masvidal fight. It's always driven him crazy. And I don't think he had any problem losing it. I don't think he even had a problem with the time in which it took. I think he had a problem with having his face pushed in it like the puppy that missed the paper by Masvidal. That's just what I think. Ben's never said as much, but I am right in giving you an analysis that he has never let something stay with him from a competitive standpoint. Ever. He is the king. He is the king of dropping it and going home and going back to his life. Ben put out a photo the other day. Just him in the wrestling room. Him at the Askren Wrestling Academy. He's got his shirt off and he's kind of doing a little flex for you. And he just says, I've stayed in shape. I am retired. But I'd come out to fight Masvidal. And then there was some kind of a back where Masvidal came at it too, which was a little bit of a surprise, all right? Like, if you're in Masvidal's spot, would you ever want to risk that? Would you ever want to fight a guy and risk the record-setting surprise match that sent you over the top as a needle-moving star? Well, apparently Masvidal has no problem with that. And by the way, I don't know how many of us ever bought Masvidal's retirement in the first place. There's a very big difference in, I don't believe the UFC's ever going to book me again. Let me get in front of this thing. And I'm never going to compete again. There's just a big difference. And most guys do have visions or illusions of a comeback. But Masvidal, at least for me, it never felt like he was done, ever. I mean, a feeling that you have. It was sincere and it was real. I'm leaving USADA. I'm leaving the UFC. I could sense that. But the hunger and wanting to keep on doing it just seemed like that was still in his eye. Small observation, but I bring that to you because if these two are going back and forth the way that they are, could we make that match? And if so, how? Are we going to Fight Pass in a situation like George St. Pierre is getting ready to do? Which, by the way, it was announced that St. Pierre is taking on Damian Maia. That is not true, just to clear that up for you guys, as of now. Is it a grappling situation? I don't think so. I don't think that would solve Ben's problem. I don't think that Ben would all of a sudden feel like he evened the score by taking George's greatest weapon away and making it his. No, I don't think so at all. Well, could it be a bare-knuckle boxing? Yes. Yes. I mean, Ben would go and agree to that. Could it just be an MMA fight? Yeah, probably the most likely. And I bring that up, Masvidal's got a promotion. And they're hemorrhaging money, but the fight game exists. From amateur boxing, it exists because you can keep finding a guy who's willing to lose money. And eventually it's all gone, and then you go find the next guy. Like literally since the 1800s, you do not see boxing unless you have that element. And it happens all the time. Matter of fact, we right now have an entire country who's willing to lose money. Could that be where they're going to fight? And it does feel like they're getting ready to do something. And it also does feel like Askren knows something. Just what it feels like. And I don't know that George would be so quick to do it in his own promotion, but the fact that he does have a promotion that does appear to have very good capitalization, it's certainly got exposure, got distribution, it's an option, I think there's a couple of other places as well that might show a level of interest. I'm just bringing it to your attention now because I don't think this is something that's going to go away. And the way that has piqued George's interest, I think, does prove the fact that he never fully wanted to be retired. Even if physically he did, mentally he was still attached. Very normal. I just thought it was more obvious in his case. If I was to give you a prediction on very limited information, I guess it would be as simple as Askren Masvidal Part 2, if I was to bet, is going to happen.